Hey everybody, Mark Masters, Always Bookin Comedy. It's Monday night. We got Garrett Hall from the Aspen, Colorado area. Very exciting. Used to live in Las Vegas. Tons to talk about tonight. Very excited about it. Garrett, how are you doing today?
Doing good, man. If you see me in my car, it's because I'm having some work done on my place right now. So I'd
Okay.
rather be in the car so I can actually hear. You don't have to hear somebody hammering away with a
Nice.
hammer right now.
Nice. Are you out near Aspen?
Yeah. I'm in Carbondale.
Okay, cool. Right down the road. I love Carbondale.
Yeah,
Beautiful
it's
place.
beautiful.
How's it been a lot of snow this winter?
Not as much as last winter for sure.
Okay.
It's been pretty dry out here.
Is this your second winter in
Yeah,
Colorado?
yeah.
Nice. Cool. Cool. When did you get started in comedy? What got you doing it?
So I was started in comedy in 2017. It was something I always wanted to do. I joined the military right out of high school, so I was 19. Joined the military, and my first duty station was to the UK. So I was stationed in the UK for 3 years, and then at one point I found out that I was going to be relocated to Las Vegas, and I started thinking like, what are some things I really want to do when I'm in Las Vegas? And then I remembered like, oh, I should give comedy a shot. So figured out how to do that. I googled how do I start stand up comedy, and it led me to an open mic and found some more mics around town, and eventually just started working my way up.
That's awesome. There's a pretty kind of well-known comic, Brant Tobler, who started in Las Vegas.
Yeah, I know
Um,
Brant. He's
you
great.
know Brant? Yeah, he's the
Yeah,
best. He's done Comedy Central and regular at
yeah.
Comedy Works. That's I feel like it's. I've heard a lot of things about what. What are your thoughts on the Las Vegas scene now that you've seen some other scenes?
Oh, Las Vegas is a great place to cut your teeth starting out in comedy, just because the crowds could not give a shit less, honestly. you know, you are in a bar and you're doing stand up and you're playing at people's backs most of the time. And if you can get them to stop gambling and turn around and look at you, that is the same as crushing. So
Right.
it's a different animal. But once you start working your way up, it's a little more difficult to kind of judge what's good and what's not, just because it's a place where a lot of people go to finish their comedy careers. You know,
Mm,
so there's not a lot of there's a great local scene, but as far as headliners and things like that coming through, they're normally not the young, hungry, up and comers that you're going to see on you know podcasts and YouTube specials and things like that. It's mostly guys who were on Comedy Central in 2005 and are trying to settle down now.
right. Yeah. So did you ever do comedy on the strip, or was it mostly downtown, or where was it?
uh a lot of both. I performed at LA Comedy Club over there at the Strat, and did some stuff at Jimmy Kimmel's Comedy Club at
Oh, cool.
the Link.
How
Uh,
does that work? Like, do they have open mics at these places, or are you like, would
no,
you host or?
yeah, that's the whole thing, is you kind of got to get recommended by someone who's already in, someone from the local scene who's already in, and they kind of start you out with a few guest spots here and there, and then once you start doing well on the guest spots, they'll bump you up to hosting, and then
Mhm.
you host for a while, and then you do well hosting, and they'll bump you up to feature. So
Nice. That's
uh, it's
cool.
it's a nice
Would,
little system.
would you say they pay well?
Uh, I mean, well, comparatively to, hosting is 75 bucks, featuring's 100.
I'd
So
say that's good. That's real
yeah,
good.
yeah,
Can you
it's
do
good for,
multiple shows in a night?
you can, but normally especially with the LA Comedy Club, and especially a lot of the clubs on the strip, they'll have two or three shows a night, and each show has a different vibe. So they'll want a
Oh,
different host for each one.
got it. That makes sense. Anything crazy happen when you were on stage at one of those big name clubs?
Oh man, everything. It being Vegas, I remember I used to do midnight shows sometimes, and I remember one time I was uh, I was hosting at this club out there, and this guy was just heckling all night. And finally, it's my job as the host to kind of rein the whole crowd in, bring the energy back up. And finally, I just had enough. And I was like, hey, man, what is your problem? All these people paid for this show, and you're wasting their money. You're ruining their time. And I'll never forget, he was hammered drunk, incredibly sloshed, and looks at me and goes, I did 22 years in the pen, man. And I was like, well, okay, like that's not a reason to interrupt this show, but
Please
okay,
don't stab me and go back there.
exactly. Like, oh, okay, well, there we go.
Oh, that's so funny.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So you started in Vegas. You're doing the
Mhm.
Vegas thing, and then did you travel at all? Did you get outside of Vegas?
Yeah, I
Watch
did the
any
road quite
stores
a
there?
bit. I was doing a lot of stuff, just mostly in the Southwest area, like Southern California, Arizona, Utah. Got out to Colorado a couple
What do
times.
you do in Utah? I always find Utah is like a black hole to me, other than the Wise Guys open mic on Wednesdays.
Yeah, so I was doing shows in St. George and in Cedar City.
Okay.
Yeah, there's some
Like
local
like
run
booked
shows.
by some national event producer or something, or
No, these were like guys who would, because St. George and Cedar City are about 2 hours and 3 hours from Vegas, respectively.
okay.
So those guys would come down to Vegas, basically scout talent for their local shows, and bring you up there, and they would pack the place out, man. It was
Nice.
great. They were awesome crowds. They were just there to have a good time. So I really enjoyed those Utah shows.
Huh. That's fun. That's cool.
Yeah.
Um, well, that's great. Anything crazy happen on the road? Got any good road stories?
Yeah, man. So one time I was on the road and I was featuring, and we stopped at this gas station. Me and the headliner, we stopped at this gas station, and this guy walks up to us. So he goes to the restroom, and I'm like sitting out there pumping gas, and this guy just kind of appears out of nowhere. And this is the middle of nowhere. I think we're in southern Utah, headed somewhere else, headed to Wyoming, I believe. And he just appears out of the ether, out of the desert, out of the mist. I don't know where he came from, but he looks like he'd been living out in the desert for 20 years, wandering, just long hair, scraggly beard. And he comes up to me and he goes, "Hey, man, I see you're from Nevada." I was like, "Yep." He goes, "You want to buy some peanuts?" Like I don't think so. I'm good right now. He goes, "Well, I saw your buddy walk in the restroom. You think he'd want some?" I was like, I'm gonna go out on a limb and say no, he doesn't.
Yeah. That is crazy. Well, good, comedy, always good for some random nuts that you
Yeah,
can
you never
buy.
know, man. You
Yeah.
never know.
Road peanuts. Interesting.
Yeah,
Okay, how about running shows? You ever run shows?
yeah. I was running a few local shows there in Vegas,
Tell us, why did you get started in that?
mostly because for selfish reasons. I just wanted more stage time, so I
That's
figured,
why
hey,
most people do it. Nothing wrong
yep,
with that.
exactly. I figured if I want more stage time, I'll start my own thing and get up as much as I want. So started a couple local bar shows. We had a open mic that we ran on Sunday nights at this little dive bar on the east side of Las Vegas. It was the official Steelers bar of Las Vegas. So they allowed smoke. I mean, you've been to Vegas, they allow smoking inside, and the ventilation was terrible. So you just leave smelling like the bottom of an ashtray every night. But we started this open mic, and it started really picking up steam, and it was great. And so we started a couple showcase shows there, and they were always willing to let us do kind of whatever we wanted there.
Nice. Um, Open mics are notoriously crazy. You get any weird people signing up?
uh Las Vegas late night on a Sunday, oh yeah. Like, we had a guy one time who he had been coming to the mics kind of regularly, and he would do this thing where he ended his set by putting a bag over his head, like a plastic shopping bag over his head, and doing his closer. I mean, it was well ventilated, so I know he was like miming out like he was suffocating himself. It was a very, you know, very highbrow artistic bit. So wasn't that great, but it was still very interesting. So one day he goes, "Hey man, just want you to know I'm moving. This will be my last night doing stand up here." He's like, "I'm gonna miss you guys." And he goes, "Can I take a little bit longer on my set since this is the last time I'm gonna be here?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure thing, man." Always been a really normal, cool guy. So he's doing his set, and I'm letting him run a little long. And he goes, "Garrett, how long has that been?" I said, "That's about 7 minutes." And he goes, "Okay, Okay, I think that's enough. I'm gonna hit my closer. And he motions to one of the other comics and said, "Hey, will you come up here and help me with this closer?" And apparently they'd worked it out. Now this guy used to be that he brought on stage used to be a former MMA fighter. So he brings this guy on stage and he sits down and he goes, "Guys, I know you're used to me doing the bag, but tonight I wanted to do something special." And he sits down on the stage. The MMA fighter comic comes up behind him and puts him in a choke and puts him smooth out. Never told anyone that that was going to happen. This man is literally passed out on the stage at our open mic at 11:30 at night on a Sunday, and we're having to like pick his legs up, revive him, slap him in the face. It was I thought my comedy career was over. I thought it was done. I thought they were never letting us do another show there again. And I got on stage afterwards, after we got him all revived, got him some water. I said, "Hey, if you're ever going to do anything like that, number one, don't. Number two, please let me know first."
Yeah. Oh, that's crazy. Okay, so you ran a bunch of shows. You got any tricks, tips for other show producers getting started?
Yeah, book good shows. Like I don't know how to put it any simpler than that. Book good comics, get the word out, find a good venue. You know what especially people who have been in comedy a while and want to do their own shows, you know what you're looking for. Find that. Make it what you want.
Nice. That's a good tip. All right, let's move on to Aspen. First question burning a hole in my mind. Did you see, how do I forget his name? Oh my goodness. Like 2 weeks ago at Wheeler Opera House, Nick Swartzen. Were you at that show? Do you know who I'm
No, I
talking
was
about?
not.
Okay.
I've heard that was in Beaver Creek. That was in Vail.
No, I know, but the next night he was in Aspen.
Oh no, I didn't.
I
I
wanted to
didn't
know
see
how it
it.
went. I saw him the night after that in Denver, and he talked about both the shows. He talked about Aspen. I wanted some corroboration of what he
No,
said
I
about
didn't
the
see
Aspen
it.
show.
But I heard everyone was like, I heard a lot of people wanted refunds for their tickets in
Oh
Aspen
yeah,
after
yeah, it
they
was a
saw what happened at
disaster.
Beaver
It
Creek.
was it was not great.
Yeah.
Okay, have you been there? Did you go to the Aspen Comedy Festival at all? The one that just happened?
No, I wasn't able to go. I was actually out of town doing
Oh,
doing stand up.
nice.
Yeah.
Have you seen any like the cool thing about Aspen is they get big, like I think Gaffigan came maybe this time.
Yeah.
Like Gaffigan is huge at this point.
Yeah.
He's enormous. He's doing like arenas and stuff. Have you seen any big time comics? Can you like
Yeah.
sneak into those shows? Do they take care of their locals or
Not really, just because the local comedy scene, we don't get any stage time at the Wheeler for sure.
okay.
But
No, I mean just sitting in the back watching.
no, they don't really let you slide in like that. But I did pay for a ticket and go see Trevor Noah.
Oh, neat. How was that?
Honestly, blew me away. I was so surprised because I had watched him on the Daily Show,
Mhm.
and you see him on the Daily Show and you're like, okay, this guy's pretty good. And then you see a stand up and you go, whoa, what is this, man? Like he is so good.
That's awesome. I saw him at the Comedy Cellar once and on McDougal, and he blew me away. He was so
Yeah.
good.
He's
Was
incredible at stand up.
yeah, yeah. Well, that's pretty neat. Where was that? Was that at the Wheeler Opera House?
Yeah.
That's cool. That's a neat place. Okay. Well, what about? So, do you do that Snowmass Collective stuff? Have you gotten
Yes.
involved in that? Tell us
Yes.
about. I guess more generally, what's your comedy experience been in the Aspen area? Where are you finding opportunities?
Mostly, at the Snowmass Collective or locally produced shows. I'm trying to, get my feelers out a little more to start producing some more stuff because
Right?
there's a lot of areas surrounding Aspen that aren't being serviced for comedy for sure, and
Sure. Yeah, in
especially.
Carbondale or Basalt, I forget which one. There's a distillery that
Hmm.
hosted a comedy show, maybe coming out of the pandemic or right before the pandemic. And
Yeah,
I don't think it
Carbondale.
ended super well, but which always makes it hard on the next comedian. It wasn't me who ran it,
Yeah.
uh, but who knows? They might be interested. There might be. I'm sure there are some venues. There's definitely been some indie comedy shows run in
Oh
Basalt
yeah,
and
and
Carbondale.
just from asking around to a few of these bar owners and event bookers and stuff, they're interested. They just
Okay.
they're kind of they're kind of hesitant about it because
Yeah,
it's not an entertainment place, you know.
right. I think it's also difficult to get talent there. You know,
Yes,
you have a pretty decent local scene, which is, you know, they're good, but like if you're trying to find a pool of really good comedians, you're talking a 4 hour drive
at
away,
least, at least.
which is, you know, it's hard. There's just, you know, if you're going to pay somebody $100 or something, that's
Yeah,
not really worth 8 hours of driving, especially
it's
if they're
really
any
not.
good. They can get a hundred
It's
bucks down the street, you know? So
right,
the
right.
economics are pretty difficult.
And that's one thing I'm learning is, you know, there are a lot of people out here in this area who've been doing comedy a lot longer than me, but I have so much more stage time just because
Mm,
from coming from a larger city. So
yeah.
there's not a ton of opportunities for the local people to really grow and expand on, um, you know, how their stage presence, like the little minutia when it comes to stand up.
Yeah.
Um, so it's been tough for them for that, but I think we do have a growing scene out here. It's burgeoning for sure, and it's always nice whenever you see people come from Denver or something like that, and they're like, "Oh, wow, there's actually people who do stand up out here," and you're like, "Yeah,
Yeah.
we're working
Any
on it. We're
any
making it."
Denver names you've seen that you
Uh,
remember?
let's see. I know Christy Buckley, Sam Talent came out here when I first. That's how I got involved with
Two
the
years
collective.
ago?
It was last year.
Last year?
So
Yeah, yeah. Two
yeah,
winters
they
ago.
came out here, and I knew Sam from Vegas,
Okay.
and so he got me a little guest spot on their show, and that's how I got into the collective and
Nice.
stuff like that. I don't know if you know Lewis Beck. He came out
Yeah,
here
of
this last
course.
weekend.
Nice.
Yeah, he was out here, and
Was
so
he
I
running
hosted
his
for
own
him.
stuff or was it the collective?
It was a collective. I was hosting for him. He was featuring, and
Nice.
so
Cool.
it was a really good time. And so this summer I'm looking to get more out to Denver and the surrounding areas, and just kind of get more familiar with that scene too.
That's awesome. That's really cool. Any headliners that you really enjoyed at that Snowmass Collective?
Yeah, this last week we had Clint Coley, who's a guy from LA,
I don't even
and
know.
yeah, I had never heard of him, never met him really, and he was great,
Yeah.
incredible. It's always great whenever you see people you don't know, even after like, you know, doing the road, doing a bunch of stand up, you've never met somebody and they just blow you away. So
Yeah.
that's always super fun. Other than that, it's mostly been well, I got to see. I know recently they had Moshe Kasher and Natasha Leggero out here for
Okay.
their big comedy weekend. It was cool.
Nice. That's cool. All right. Well, any other thoughts on the Aspen scene?
Um, Not really. Just hey, if you know of anybody who wants to, you know, dip their toes in out here, is coming out to ski for the weekend and wants to do some stand up, tell them, you know, come my
I,
way.
I just I just had a guy reach out to me. I wish I could remember his name. But he's a New York City guy. Maybe he's like on Sirius and maybe like a minor Comedy Central credit. Like
Yeah.
kind of, you know, not like a huge deal, but big enough. And he was
Right.
like, "Hey, I need to get on a show in Vail," and I was like out of state or something. He's like, "And I'm going to Aspen for a couple days," and I was like, "I know like one or two people out there. I'll send some emails, but it didn't really
Yeah.
didn't turn into anything."
Yeah.
Oh, I got another idea for you. Have you been to the Aviator Nation to ask them? Do you know about that store? It's like a hoodie store.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I haven't asked them about
And I
anything.
think they have an upstairs like bar area. I don't know if I think they
Okay,
were working on their liquor license. That would be a cool place. And
that would be really cool.
during the Vail Comedy Festival, we do shows at the Vail Aviator Nation.
Okay,
They're
yeah,
just
I'll
like,
definitely
it's
hit them
just
up.
looks super cool. It's a neat, those stores are always interesting. And I know in LA
Yeah.
they run comedy out of there. So that's something.
What a
Well, this is a good segue. And as we start to kind of land this plane, any goals for the rest of the year? Maybe starting your own show, or what are you
yeah.
hoping to get
Re-
done?
Rest of the year, I'd like to start my own show at some point out here, and then just kind of hit the road as much as possible. Um,
Nice.
yeah, trying to get out there and do as much as I can. I'm doing a weekend in Wichita, Kansas next month,
Okay.
and
At
then
what's the name of the venue?
Vorshay's.
Yeah, yeah, I was just there. I couldn't remember the name of it, but when you go
Yeah.
out there, go to the it's like a 20-minute drive from Borchet's, but go to the Pizza Hut Museum. The
Okay, for
original
sure.
Pizza Hut shack is at like Wichita State University, or it's some
Oh,
college campus.
that's
And
awesome.
the original thing, they like turned it into a museum, and it's pretty good. It's very small, but I
Yeah.
spent like 45 minutes in there. It was hilarious.
Oh, I'm sold. I'm
Yeah,
in. Like,
check
that's
that out.
great.
That was pretty cool.
I'll for sure do
Yeah, that's a
that.
neat place. Do you know who's headlining?
I am.
Oh, hell yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Hell
So
yeah.
I'm really excited about that. And then I got some stuff coming up in the works at just back in Vegas doing the Wise Guys out there.
Nice.
So I'll be featuring one of they gave me some tentative dates. They're like, we're not sure if these people are bringing their own features, but if not, we got, we want you to come do it. And so that's great. And then I think coming
And
up,
let me pause you there. How do you get to Vegas? Do you drive? Do you fly?
I drive normally,
Okay. All right.
and it's like an 8-hour drive for me.
Okay.
So,
Nice.
and Vegas is one of those cities where I'd rather have my car because
Yeah.
I'm not going to be on the strip the whole time.
Right.
So I'd rather have my car. And then after that, I think I got something at Looney's coming up. They want to, like I said, they're tentative on the dates too. They're letting me know here shortly. So
Hell yeah. How'd you get on their radar? Did you go do their open mic or just word of mouth?
no, word of mouth. I got brought out there by a couple different Vegas comics.
Nice.
So to feature. So I did feature weekends, and then they hit me
Yeah.
back and were like, hey, come back sometime. We'd love to have you. So just on
Nice.
a 6-month rotation out there.
Cool. Eric's a good dude.
I love
Fun.
those
All
guys.
right, man. Any closing thoughts?
Uh, Not really. Just like I said, hope your festival goes well, man. I'm really excited that that's going on.
Yeah, if you
Um,
want a free pass, we're pretty generous with comics.
yeah,
So come on out. It's a lot of fun. You see a lot of comedians, tons of New York comics, and the headliners are outstanding this year. So it'll be a
yeah.
good time.
I'll definitely come out, and yeah, looking forward to just like I said, getting a better feel for the Colorado scene.
Nice. Awesome, Garrett. Well, that's Garrett Hall on Always Booking Comedy from Aspen, Colorado. Started out in Las Vegas. We're back next Monday. Where can people find you, Garrett, online?
You can find me on Instagram at G Hall Comedy. That's the best place for it. Or TikTok, G Hall Comedy. I'm starting to make it more of a TikTok presence now because that's the name of the game these days. So
All right.
trying to get in there.
He's making moves, everybody. All right. We'll see you next week.